following program is intended for mature audiences.
All right. Hello.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportsshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
I did my civic duty and voted for the All-Star team last week.
Of course.
One man, one vote, like it's supposed to be.
I mean, at least you feel better about it that way.
I can't abide by this nonsense of 35 votes. And
you're not voting 25 times a day, every day?
No. Is that what I thought it was 35 times, period. I didn't realize you could do it 35 times every single day.
Oh, I don't know how. I mean, I know for the NHL one, it was like 10 times a day.
One man, one vote. The way it should be. The way God intended it. I don't remember who I voted for, though.
Well, you posted it on Facebook, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to find it real quick here. I will, to start the show, let everyone know who I voted for the All-Star game, then we can move on to interesting stuff. In the American League, at catcher, Salvador Perez of your Kansas City Royals. Manny Machado at third base from your Baltimore Orioles. Shortstop, Francisco Lindor of your Cleveland Indians.
Xander Bogaerts was selected as shortstop.
Yeah, I kind of figured. That was a tough call at shortstop this year. There were 3 or 4 really good candidates. I got to think second base, Jose Altuve just ran away with it, right?
Yeah, he was the winner there. Manny Machado is the third baseman, too. So
first base, I picked Eric Hosmer. I'll have a pretty good field again.
I believe he won, yeah.
Adam Jones, Ian Desmond, and Michael Trout, my outfield. And Edwin Encarnacion from the Toronto Blue Jays is my designated hitter for the AL.
David Ortiz was your ALDH.
Yeah, I kind of figured, but I think Encarnacion's actually having a better season. National League, have they done that yet?
No, the thing just started like a minute ago.
Okay, well, real quick. At catcher, Wilson Ramos from the Nationals. Nolan Arenado at third base from the Rockies. Corey Seager at short from the Dodgers. Daniel Murphy, National second base. Anthony Rizzo from the Cubs at first. What's his name? The Ozuna guy from Florida in right field. Yoenis Cespedes in center, and Carlos Gonzalez in left. So there you have it.
On this show, they just brought in Xander Bogaerts on a satellite interview.
Right.
They already have him wearing the stupid uniforms.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, yeah.
The Padres ones. Red Sox is arched on the front of his hat.
Did you guys, speaking of bad uniforms, did anybody catch the really god-awful July 4th hats yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't even know what to say about those. They're so terrible.
They remind me of those, like, American flag hats you find at American Walmart. You imagine seeing some guy, like some really overweight guy with a bald eagle T-shirt that barely fits over his gut, and he's wearing that hat, and he's just like, America!
Yep, pretty much.
And then they just took those hats and slapped some team logos on the front.
They're so stupid.
All the special uniforms this year for Major League Baseball have been pretty crappy.
Really bad across the board.
God, this All-Star one, I can't stop looking at it because it's just so, like...
The ridiculousness, the Red Sox one's close, but I think the New York Yankees All-Star cap is still, like, just the prime example of everything that's wrong, because it's like, it's the Yankees. And that's going to be – that's an official New York Yankees cap. That's just embarrassing.
How many Yankee fans do you think will actually buy that thing? I bet you – I would guarantee – and I'm not saying that no one will.
You'll have some people who just want to get it just to have, like, an official –
Do you think it'll be more than a couple thousand at most, though? I mean, at the very, very most, like in their wildest dream, maybe 2,000 of those hats will sell with Yankees on them, maybe? I mean, I mean, I think that sounds like an awful lot.
You know what, though? I think that's even underselling it, because there are people that buy all this, like, they do sell, right?
Yeah.
It's not like they just make them and, they don't sell, what are we going to do with them? Ship them off to wherever. No, these things sell for whatever dumb reason. It will be more than 2,000.
You've always got the person out there that's the completist, has every single thing that every team that their team does, no matter what it is.
Right,
and also, don't underestimate just the poor taste of young people today. I mean, for God's sake, and I don't know how we never talked about this, but, I mean, just this is just a quick news site, a news story from the sportslogos.net site, and we never talked about it, but someone's doing this, right? So if someone's doing that, then yeah, taste is completely shot. Like
that's minor league baseball, though. You know.
Still, man. I mean, the bronies. That's a bridge too far. I don't care, minor league baseball or otherwise. That's just too much.
Look, have Star Wars night. Have whatever bullshit night you want to have for minor league baseball. Like Montgomery Biscuits. I've got no problem with Montgomery Biscuits. That's great minor league baseball. But bronies?
Is this officially sanctioned by the team? Because aren't bronies kind of pervs, basically? I mean, isn't that the deal with them?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So why would you sanction something that's kind of, well, not kind of, but really, really weird?
I guess because even though they're pervy, they are still people with disposable income, and if they can sell them all a hat like that, I guess then it makes it all worthwhile.
God,
they got Trout on the thing now.
Yeah,
and the Angels version of the hat almost doesn't look as terrible because the font looks exactly like the jerseys where they had the little A on the front. So sorry.
Yeah. I never liked the little A.
Neither do I. And it's insanely popular out here, and I don't know why. I always prefer the very pointy capital A.
I would say both versions of the capital A that they've used have been really cool. I also, and I know you're probably not going to like this, Zach, but I also like the LA version that they had. It was where it was in like the Red Sox font.
I think he has that hat, don't you?
Yeah, I own that one. Yeah, with the halo on top of the hat.
My favorite is
which always makes it look like they're wearing yarmulkes, but
yeah.
My favorite is I have the CA hat with the halo on the top.
I just don't like the name California Angels because there's so many other teams in California that it just seems silly for one team to say we're California. But
they were California's AL team because the A's weren't there yet, right?
Wait,
no,
they were at 61. Yeah, because the A's were still in Kansas City or Philly. No, Kansas City, and it would just be the Angels, right? Angels, Dodgers, and Giants at that point, and Padres.
So that's when it was the California American League franchise.
Yeah.
So it makes kind of sense. The outfield, by the way, for the American League, Mike Trout, no brainer. Jackie Bradley Jr. and Mookie Betts.
Wow, Red Sox fans really representing this year. Look at that.
Yeah, they're really getting into it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, these brony hats. I just don't know. And then to add to this, would you ever be caught in public wearing that thing?
If you were a brony, you would.
Oh,
if you were a brony, you already don't have a frontal lobe.
Yeah, this is true.
And so you're already probably going to wear that completely oblivious to how it makes you look to everyone else.
Okay.
Well, if anything, this is just a public service to bronies to actually get them out of their parents' basement.
Get them into a nice park. Get some sunshine.
Mom, can you drop me off at the baseball stadium? I gotta go.
But you know what I'm thinking though, bronies. I don't think of bronies as being sports fans, right?
Well, they gotta go. Mom, just park out front. I'll be in and out. I just gotta get the hat and come out.
But yeah, look, even if it's minor league baseball, like the fact that that's happening just proves to me that good taste is just gone. So
it really is.
And not only is good taste gone, but things that are objectively terrible are profitable, and that's why I think you're seeing crap like the MLB All-Star game. It's exactly what Zach said. It sells, unfortunately. So they keep making it.
Yeah, but I just can't imagine why anyone would want, like, say, like an Angels hat. I mean, I guess it's kind of close to the old font, so that's fine. But if you're a Dodgers fan, especially if you're a Dodgers fan, you don't want a hat that looks like a Padres hat with your team's name on it, do you? I wouldn't.
I'm always surprised by the amount of All-Star stuff I see at baseball games. No matter where, no matter where I've gone and seen a baseball game, the amount of those practice jerseys or the batting, the home run derby jerseys that are out there. It's like, if you're an Angels fan, why would you have wanted a Mike Trout Cincinnati styled jersey from last year?
I could see the jersey almost more so than I could see the hat, because at least the jersey is kind of it's more of a big ticket item
with a player.
Yeah. Like,
you're more supporting the player than you are just like.
I'm trying to think in my entire life following baseball, I don't think I've ever purchased anything All-Star game related ever in my whole life.
The only All-Star stuff I have is from when the game was in Anaheim a couple years ago. And when I went, you get the program, you get like a little lanyard and whatever. And that was about. I don't think I got anything. Oh, I got because the logo I thought was kind of cool. It was just the star with the halo over the top point. Yeah, and I got a hat with that on it, but that was about it.
I've got a few All-Star NHL All-Star game jerseys, but I don't think I've ever gotten anything. I don't think I've gotten any All-Star material for any other sport besides hockey.
I have one hockey All-Star jersey, the Western Conference Minnesota one.
Yeah, that was nice. The
old-timiness.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten anything. Maybe like a shot glass or something if I saw it like at a I guess a tchotchke somewhere. But I can't think of anything I've ever actually purchased specifically because it was an All-Star thing, like where I went out of my way looking for it. Where it was just
I've got a Matt Sundin Team World jersey from that year that it was in Toronto.
I think I have a puck. I think I have a puck from when Columbus hosted the All-Star game.
And then I think I remember having a Team North America Gretzky jersey from his last All-Star game when they were wearing like the dark teal and the blue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in dark teal, but dark burgundy and the blue. And I had a Gretzky one, but I grew out of that and tossed that years ago. But
I guess
in retrospect, I wish I had kept it because it was Gretzky's last All-Star game. But
if I'm going to drop money on a jersey, I'm dropping money on something that's not All-Star game. I mean, I'm going to get either like a really cool throwback or a jersey that I would like.
Because the problem with the All-Star game stuff is that it's limited to that one season.
Yeah,
that one event. It's not like. It's one of those things that it's always going to be very dated because you know exactly when it happened.
To me, it comes down to really just aesthetics. If an All-Star game jersey looks good, I'll be more willing to get it, which is why I wouldn't be opposed to tracking down an All-Star jersey from that Minnesota NHL All-Star game, like you said, Zach, because both of those jerseys I think were really nice, and I wouldn't mind having one. But honestly, outside of hockey, I don't think there's been a lot of good All-Star jerseys. And that's not to say that hockey has a unblemished record. A lot of the more recent All-Star jerseys for the NHL have been terrible.
Yeah, but see, hockey goes. There's like a jersey culture in hockey too, though. That there's not. Yeah. I think to a much lesser extent in the other sports. Mm-hmm. I would wear an All-Star jersey to a hockey game without even thinking about it. Where I would never do it like at a baseball game. I'm certainly not wearing a Pro Bowl jersey to an NFL game. Or
I think that's when it comes to at least baseball and basketball now, there are no. Well, I guess no. They didn't used to be this way in basketball, but in MLB they don't wear All-Star jerseys during the game. They wear their jerseys.
Right.
The only time they wear the All-Star stuff is during the home run derby. And
I think it also has
like 10 guys participate in that.
I think it also has to do with the fact that like the home run derby All-Star stuff, it's all very reflective of the host team.
Right.
So even if I was to get, say, a Batista All-Star jersey and it had like the Blue Jays logo on the sleeve and everything, it would still look like, say, a Cincinnati Reds jersey or a San Diego Padres jersey. Whereas the NHL doesn't really like sometimes they borrow the host team's colors, but they never really ape the host team's aesthetic fully on. So you don't really feel like you're wearing, say, a Nashville Predators jersey. You're just wearing an NHL All-Star jersey.
Right.
Well, speaking of jerseys, go ahead. I was going to see if you guys wanted to move on to the big.
Yeah, we can do. I was just going to say that you would think that kind of stuff would sell well in the home market, like for that stuff. But I initially right the year after the Angels All-Star game, sure, there were a ton of people wearing the All-Star jerseys from that game around Angel Stadium. But as the years progressed, I saw the ones from Arizona and the ones from Cincinnati and from wherever else, and it's just like I don't get it. But
I will say
each their own. You want to spend your money on it, go for it.
I will say that the NBA All-Star jerseys from this past one that was in Toronto, the Western Conference jerseys, which were blue, all those did was impress upon me how awesome the Raptors would look if they just adopted, a Toronto color scheme of blue and white.
God, that'd be cool.
Because they used the Raptors fonts, and so I was just kind of looking at it, going, if you just changed a few things here and put Toronto across the front, that would make for a pretty nice Raptors jersey.
I think they'd look incredible in blue and white. That'd be great.
Pardon?
The Toronto Basket Leafs.
Well, it's basically.
It'd be like the
Toronto Leaf Basket.
It'd be like the Leaf Jays or the Blue Leafs or
Maple Jays.
Maple Jays, yeah, there you go. Would look good though, I have to say.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Toronto, the Maple Leafs had their uniform unveiling.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised that, I got to say, I'm surprised that more people, I thought people would like it a lot more than they do. I think it looks really good.
It's fine. It's just...
I mean, it's not exciting, but did you expect them to really do anything much?
The thing that bothers the hell out of me is the single hem stripe. It just looks off. That's all. It's fine. It's not bad. It looks...
See, I
stripe away from perfect.
I think that hem stripe, and I admit, it's not what I would have wanted, and it's not my first choice, and I'm not all that particularly psyched about it, but I think it needs to be understood in two different ways. The first is that the ideal Leafs jersey, like, the ideal mind's eye Leafs jersey would have been just the now previous uniforms with the updated vintage logo on the front. That's what it like that is the ideal Leafs jersey. Problem is that if they do that, you probably don't have a lot of people who feel the need to buy a new one because they're so similar. I think at the end of the day, that single hem stripe is just there because MLSE wanted it to be different enough to justify fans buying a new jersey.
That makes sense.
I think that's the only reason it's there. My only defense of it is that while I didn't like it when I first saw the jerseys, I've come around to it now that I've seen the entire uniform, and I think it ties in nicely with the smaller it ties in nicely with the single stripe down the sides of the pants.
No, I agree with that. When we just saw the jerseys, they don't look – the stripe looks weird without the full uniform. When it's just the jersey, it looks weird. On the full uniform, yes, I will agree. It looks fine. Once they hit the ice, you're never even going to notice. But if it's the fact that they're changing the stripe to sell more jerseys, don't you want them to look better on the fans as a single jersey? Because the fans aren't walking into Air Canada Center with full uniforms on.
How funny would it be if they did?
No, but, maybe they should start selling blue sweatpants with a single white stripe.
I have always wondered why no one's ever done that. I mean, I would never buy it.
The NFL would have jumped all over it by now.
Are you going to tell me, really, if you could get Ohio State sweatpants that look just like the pants they wear with the uniforms, that people wouldn't buy the shit out of those? Come on.
Or at least like athletic shorts, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've never understood that.
You could probably sell those at the OSU bookstore, and they'd probably sell like hotcakes.
Oh, you could drop those things anywhere in Ohio, except probably Cincinnati, and they're going to sell like crazy. But I've never understood. Then again, maybe they've tried it, and just no one went for it. I don't know.
The closest thing I can remember, years ago when I was like really little, like maybe 4 or 5, I remember my dad had a pair of Montreal Canadiens Zubaz. Canadians.
Zubaz, I would love a pair of those.
They were red, white, and blue Zubaz, and they had like the Canadiens logo on like the hip. But that's like the only thing. That's the only time I can remember like team specific sweatpants.
Zubaz were cool. They were so awful. That's what made them cool. They were just so ridiculous.
I kind of want a pair. I want to track down some Zubaz. But the Leafs uniform, I agree that it's definitely a case where it looks much better once you see the full uniform. And I guess my final verdict on these is that these uniforms are essentially a mashup of the Conn Smythe era, the Ballard era, and the '67 uniforms. Like,
right.
It's kind of those three uniforms, and you kind of toss them into a blender. If you had told me before I had seen these uniforms, if you had told me the new Leafs uniforms are going to mix the Smythe, Ballard, and '67 uniforms in one, I would have been like, that is absolutely terrible. And when I see the full uniforms, they're not absolutely terrible. In fact, it all kind of flows in itself. So I kind of have the opinion of this looks far better than the concept has any right to look.
I think if they were truly going to try to mash them all together, and you were going to go with a single stripe around the waist, you would make it closer to what that the Ballard looked like with a thicker stripe.
Yeah, I honestly, a thicker stripe, and to be perfectly honest, if they were going to lean into the Ballard era at all, and this does lean heavily on the Ballard era because you've got the single waist stripe and you've got the simple two-stripe socks. Those are both hallmarks of the Ballard era look. Mm-hmm. If you were going to go not all in, but if you were going to heavily reference that look, I would have preferred contrasting shoulders, like
shoulder. I'm looking at a picture of Daryl Sittler in like the '70s with the single hem stripe like that. Yeah, that would look cool.
Yeah, like if that's the look you're going to reference, then I would have preferred doing that. I'm going to throw this out there really quick. I almost think these would look better without any hem stripe. If you got, you know what I mean? The Leafs did the no hem stripe thing once. It did not look good. Really?
Yeah.
I think as a jersey to wear myself, I would prefer it without a hem stripe.
Right. They did that with the first wave of the Edge because that's when everyone believed the lie that the jerseys were going to be tucked into the waist.
Yeah, and the Leafs
so bad.
And John Ferguson, the idiot that he was, signed off on the uniforms before he knew how the uniforms would actually be worn because that's the kind of GM he was. But
there are plenty of teams that did that too. They just didn't.
The only two as far as the hem stripes go, it was them and Phoenix, now Arizona. I remember they for the longest times didn't have hem stripes.
Right, but I mean, just like in general, when you look at the designs, like Colorado doesn't have any side panels, and so did Calgary and teams like that, where they went with side panels rather than waist stripes because we were all said, no, they're going to be tucked in.
Now, I want to address that a lot of people are upset that they dropped the kind of barber pole striping from the Leaf socks. If they were going to do the dueling stripe patterns, both like the single stripe and the double stripes, then I think you had to drop the socks just to keep the clutter down, because if you keep the classic socks, then that's 3 striping patterns. Yeah. And the way that the socks are now, I think they look good because the way that the uniform makes sense to me is the socks and the sleeves balance each other out, and then the waist and then the hem stripes and the pant stripes balance each other out. And I think that's why it works for me.
I think my main thought on Maple Leafs jerseys, it's hard to screw up the Maple Leafs as long as you stick to a general idea. Mm-hmm. But like I said, with just the single stripe, it just is a little off. They're not bad. It doesn't make them terrible. Don't throw them in the same garbage pile as like the Jaguars or something. But it's just like it's one tweak off. Either make the stripe wider or make it 2 stripes so everything matched. But I don't know. It just seems a little.
I think that the stripe looks way better on the away jersey than it does on the home. Of the two, you know what I mean? Like on the white jersey, the single stripe doesn't look as bad. It seems a little more obvious on the blue jersey that it's kind of like if you were going to say it needed a little something else, that's the one I would point to and say, yeah, that one might stand to either be a couple stripes or that be a little bit wider. On the white one, I think it looks fine.
A little something.
But you know what? You get better contrast with the white jersey over the blue as opposed to the blue over blue, and I think that makes the stripe stand out less.
I will say my biggest criticism of the look is that I really think they could have used some sort of alternate logo on the shoulders.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what
alternate logo they would have used, because in the past the alternate had been the leaf that they're now using as the base.
Oh, I'll tell you what they should have used.
Would you want to go back to the TML from the 2000s?
No, that was terrible. Yeah. That was a terrible attempt to copy the Toronto transit system's logo, and it just did not work. No, if I had my way, the logo that I would use on the shoulders, and I'm pulling it up now, and this would make sense, seeing as these logos are debuting for the 100th anniversary, I would throw the Toronto Arena's Shield logo, which is this, on the shoulders.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I think they should have.
I just think they look empty without anything there, and I think that's a nice, simple thing you could probably just throw in that space, and it would look nice, and it would look just.
I think they should bring. They should have added some elements from the spray paint ones that you talked about from the '90s, Mike. Come on now.
The ones that they thankfully
that would have pleased
trashed.
all that. But just think now, if they had come out with that for this, that would have pleased so many people. The modernists would have just been like beside themselves with joy.
Lights Out would have.
He would have. Oh my God, he would have died of a heart attack. He would have been so happy.
Speaking of which, he has called the new Leafs logo ugly and has called the Ballard logo iconic. No, man, the Ballard logo isn't iconic. The Ballard logo is symbolic of nearly 50 years of no Stanley Cup. So
I think we all agree that we like the new Leaf better, right? The new old Leaf, or essentially whatever you want to call it. But yeah,
like I don't. And of course, if you scroll down the news site, the news story on sportslogos.net, you see Austin Matthews in his in his new Leafs jersey.
It's such a big deal that we actually had a holiday for him yesterday.
Yeah, it was his. They fireworks for Austin Matthews' first day, at camp.
I would credit whoever actually said that on the boards, but I don't remember. But that's not original. That was someone on the board said that. I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, are they great? No, I think I said this in my assessment in the thread. That they're a home run? Are they a grand slam? Like a tape measure shot? No. But I think they're pretty good. I don't have any complaints really.
I mean, they look. I mean, Zach said it. It's hard to screw up a Maple Leafs look, and I don't think this is screwed up.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they screwed up. It's not as ideal as it could be, but it's a long ways away from bad. And I would say that there have been a few select instances of the Maple Leafs in the past screwing up far worse than this. The TML. That Zach mentioned was a pretty low point, as was the unnecessary silver glitter outlines they added to everything for a few years. I mean, I don't know why they thought they needed that. And during the Sundin era, when they had the Cabell name and number fonts, those were stupid. As were the what was it? The edge look where they didn't have any waist stripes. I mean, those were all bigger missteps than anything this uniform's done. So,
yeah.
What can I say? At the end of the day, I don't mind them. I think they're all definitely buy a jersey, and there have been periods like that edge, like the first Edge era, where I didn't buy a Leafs jersey because I specifically thought they looked bad. But I'm going to buy one of these, so
I'm always going to have a soft spot for the Leafs because they were the one of the two teams at the first NHL game I ever went to. The other one being the Detroit Red Wings, and let it be known now to the whole world that I was actually rooting for the Leafs the whole time. So fuck you, Detroit. Sorry. Okay. I like their uniforms better. I can't lie.
At the end of the day, they're both kind of using the same basic primary color, white.
But they look so fantastic in that blue and white in person. It was really neat color. Go ahead.
It really is sharp.
It really is. Yeah, I mean, it just jumped out of
design. The thing that we didn't touch on either is now all the years that we made fun of, or the last few years where we made fun of Tampa Bay for trying to be the Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs have lost the stripe and become more like Tampa Bay.
My argument is that the Maple Leafs have owned blue and white in the NHL for close to 100 years. They can do whatever they want within the realm of blue and white, and it's still their ballpark. Tampa's still the intruders.
But it's a new era for Leafs hockey, Mike. You have a savior.
Yeah.
Austin Matt, screw Steven Stamkos and the horse that he did not ride in on. And, at the end of the day, we've still got a young team, and we've got one of the best coaches in the world. So, yeah, I'm optimistic.
Okay, I'm just going to go right out and say it. What the fuck were they thinking? Why would you trade PK Subban. Shea Weber's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but come on. Even I know that's like not a great move.
He's really not anymore. But before we get into that, I'm going to say this. I am pretty confident at this point that Zach and I, and possibly you, Greg, we would all make functional, competent general managers in today's National Hockey League because we would all know not to trade PK Subban.
Not for Shea Weber.
Not for Shea Weber, who's closing in on 30 and who has a contract until he's 40.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. He's got that horrible Nashville contract, yeah. But I saw that, and I was just floored. I went, and I'm thinking, okay, Shea Weber and like 5 other guys, or what? I don't get it. I don't understand. And maybe I'm overrating Subban. I don't know, but
no, you're not. Subban's one of the best defensemen in the world.
Subban is better than Shea Weber. He's younger, and
and he's got a better contract.
And the reason, and here's really the reason why Montreal traded him, because for all those reasons, you say, well, they're idiots.
They're black. He's black. That's why they traded him.
I was going to ask, does that have anything to do with it? I hope not.
It has part of it. He's boisterous. He's a big personality. He's somebody that is a star unto himself, and not because he happens to have the CH, Les Habitants, on his chest. They thought
it's kind of ESPN syndrome.
I was just going to say, little ESPN
bigger than his britches, and the Canadiens don't like that.
Look, I'm going to say something that might piss a lot of people off. All right, but I'm going to do some backtracking. I'm going to take you all on a bit of a story, but I promise you it has an end point, and it won't be that far of a trip into Mike's past. But when I was in my final year of undergrad, I took a selected topics in Canadian history course. We got to World War II, and we talked about the fact that when a group of Jews had escaped Nazi-occupied Europe, and they were trying to settle in Canada, the Prime Minister of Canada at the time, William Lyon Mackenzie King, refused them sanctuary and sent them back to Nazi-occupied Europe because his Liberal Party was dependent on Quebec votes to win elections, and he knew that Quebec would not approve of him granting asylum to a bunch of Jews.
Wow.
And my professor asked us point blank in that class, do any of you think Quebec is more anti-Semitic or overall racist than the rest of Canada? Yeah! And nobody in the class was willing to say that. And he goes, that's bullshit. Quebec is more racist. It is more anti-Semitic. And why are we afraid to say it? And there's a whole slew of reasons from a Canadian perspective of why we're afraid to address that monkey in the room. Fact of the matter is that Quebec in general, and the Quebecois in particular, are a very xenophobic people, and it stems from them feeling that their culture's been under siege since they lost at the Battle of Plains of Abraham in 1763. It goes that far back. But whatever the reason, they do not like people who do not conform to French Canadian culture. They barely tolerate the English Canadians. Anyone else who's beyond English Canadian Protestant is just a bridge too far for them.
Well, I'd always known that they were very xenophobic. The French, the Quebec French people. You knew that. But I'm thinking in terms of sports. I mean, aren't we past the point where
But you forget, Greg, that this is hockey.
Yeah, but still.
Like, here's the differences between why the Canadiens are more like, or are just going to take in Shea Weber and love him, than they were more ever willing to embrace PK Subban. PK Subban is loud, he's boisterous, he has fun, he celebrates, he's just out there to have a good time and have fun.
And by the way, we need more people like PK Subban in hockey, just saying.
Where Shea Weber is the uptight, the guys played hard, we got a good, and just play our game and we'll get back to him and we'll score some goals here. That's the kind of guy that Shea Weber is, and that, despite what anyone wants to say, like Mike, you and I would say that we love guys like that. We want guys like PK Subban in hockey to make it more exciting.
Yes,
but the league is populated with all these Western Canadian, Central Canadian kids that have just been beaten down, and those Toronto kids get beaten down in the same way, at least mentally, that you're not bigger than the team. You're doing this for everybody. Basically, they as much as the Canadians fought against communist Soviet Union, They want their hockey players to act in a communist sort of way, where it's about the team and no one's bigger than anybody else.
It's true. It's true. I said something very similar when talking about why Steven Stamkos ultimately didn't sign for the Leafs. That you have all of these, quote unquote good Canadian boys who are insanely talented, but who have been told from the moment they were little kids that to show any sort of pride in your achievements, to think that you are in any way better than the fourth line grinder, is to be arrogant, and it's behavior that you shouldn't indulge in. And so you get this slew of very talented white Canadian hockey players who just don't show any emotion. Like Shea Weber is exactly right. PK Subban has had Zach, you're right about Shea Weber. PK Subban has had games where he single-handedly won games for the Canadians. If Shea Weber – I'm not saying Shea Weber is incapable of having a game like that, but if he does have a game like that, if Shea Weber scores 4 goals and has 2 assists in a game, and they go to him after the game, they're like, Shea, that was amazing. Tell us about that great game. He's just going to go like, oh, well, it was a team effort. We all played 100%, and I'm just really proud of my team, and that's going to be what he says.
Couldn't have been there without my teammates, and we got to give it up to Pricer back in net there. He really held it down for us. It's like,
to me though, I'm sorry, but if I've got a talent at the level of PK, I mean, sometimes you just got to make allowances. I don't care what your philosophy is, but you know what this is? It's basically the NHL version of the New York Yankees. There's a certain type of player, a certain attitude that we want, and we don't give a shit how good you are. If you can't conform to our attitude, we don't want you.
And the worst part is though, it's not. It's kind of like that, but. It's not like PK is some arrogant asshole that everyone hates.
Right.
He's not A-Rod. He's not A-Rod.
He's out in the community. He's fun. He signs jerseys. He tried to learn even a little bit of French to just assimilate. And I mean, he just donated that $10 million to that hospital and has his name
hospital in Montreal.
In the children's hospital, and they trade him away. And a lot of when he did that, a lot of people kind of joked like, "Oh, there's PK signing his no trade contract." Guess what? Doesn't matter if you're a great guy. If you're black and maybe a little bit having too much fun on the ice, you don't get to play in Montreal anymore.
I can't imagine that a black guy that shows a little bit of emotion is going to play real well in that area from the sounds of it. So maybe it's just a damn shame to me is all.
No, it really isn't. And a lot of people are not going to like hearing that. But look, I'm sure that I'm not ignorant to the development of Quebecois culture and social dynamics. My entire dad's family is from Montreal. And no, we're not French Canadian. We're Jews, and I think that gives me again a bit of perspective of sort of the xenophobic, racist nature of Quebecois ingrained culture. So just putting that out there. But I keep tabs on that part of the world. And yes, there are very promising changing attitudes among younger Quebecois, but again, we're talking about developments that are still 15, 20 years away from fully taking root. At the end of the day, this is still your dad's Quebecois we're talking about. And, I'm sorry, it is incredibly closed off. It is incredibly racist. And, PK Subban, I don't understand it. PK Subban a couple of years back signed that contract extension with the Canadians. He was negotiating with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's from the GTA. If he had signed with Toronto, I guarantee you they'd still have him there. Not because, well, I'm just going to say it. Toronto specifically, but Ontario broadly, is more multicultural than Quebec. And I think that, you have the current minds that are running the Maple Leafs now, Mike Babcock, Brendan Shanahan, even Lou Lamoriello. Well, maybe Lou Lamoriello would be pissy about it, but Babcock and Shanahan, like, they would not see PK Subban having fun as a problem. And I want PK Subban on my team. Anyone should want PK Subban on their team. Who cares if he has fun out there? To me, it's encouraging if you see a top-tier talent actually excited to be playing where he's playing.
Well, Lou Lamoriello would take PK Subban, but he'd make him ride in the back of the bus. But that's progress, though. I kid. I'm just wondering how much better is Nashville now?
Oh, Nashville's going to be great. I mean,
Yeah.
Their defensive core is scary good now.
Well, I mean,
Nashville's
imagine if they still had Seth Jones, too.
Right. Well, but they're in a better spot because of that trade too. Because now they have a young core. Right. PK Subban is 25, and he's now the oldest defenseman on that team.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
You know, you got PK Subban. He's probably going to be paired with Roman Josi, who made Shea Weber a hell of a lot better. Oh, a fun fact, Montreal: Shea Weber, his two D partners in his entire career have been Ryan Suter, who's pretty good on his own, and Roman Josi, who's pretty good on his own. So Shea Weber may not be the Shea Weber that you think you're getting, but good luck with that.
The only downside to this, from Nashville's perspective, is the fact that again, Shea Weber's under contract for 10 years, and yes, that contract shifted to Montreal now, but apparently Nashville can still get hit with penalties if Weber retired. Like, those penalties will be applied to Nashville, not to Montreal.
Yeah, this is what happens. So back in when did he sign this contract? 5 years ago?
Yeah, I want to say 2011.
Yeah. Shea Weber was an RFA. And when you're a restricted free agent, you can be signed to an offer sheet by a different team, and your current team can keep you if they match that deal. So Philadelphia wanted Shea Weber, and they signed him to this absurd contract. Just absolutely ridiculous. I'm trying to find what the original number was.
They basically dared Nashville to match it.
Right. And Shea Weber signed this because he was like, well, if Nashville's not going to pay me what I think I'm worth, Philly will, so I'll go there. But Nashville said, fine, we'll sign the deal. And that's good. But since Nashville signed this deal back before they changed the salary cap around and you couldn't sign these 14-year contracts anymore, Shea Weber still has 10 years left on his deal. And he got traded to Montreal, but Nashville, because they signed it, they're the ones that will get hit with this thing called cap recapture, which is basically like, yeah, you signed this dumb deal, and if you trade him away to get out from underneath that salary cap problem, it's still your problem because you signed it and you screwed up our financial structure.
That's not fair, though. I mean, really?
It really isn't. But it really isn't.
Not, because Philadelphia signed him to the contract, and Nashville matched it, and now they get stuck with it.
See, and I think, too, that the minute that Shea Weber puts on a Montreal Canadiens uniform, he's not Nashville's problem anymore. The minute they made the deal, he's not their problem anymore. Montreal
still will honor the financial terms of the contract, as in, like, they will pay him what the contract says so. But if he retires before the end of that contract, then Nashville gets hit with the penalty for signing it in the first place.
Well, how old is Shea Weber? He's going on 30, right?
Yeah, he's
closing in on 30. Yeah.
So let's just say, for the sake of argument, he plays 6 more years. Okay.
If he plays 6 more years, and he plays till he's 36.
Okay. 36, here's my thing. Okay. If you come to me and you go, look, we will take this ridiculous Shea Weber contract off your hands, and we'll give you PK Subban as part of the deal, I'm gonna roll the dice and go, you know what? Even if we do get screwed on the penalty phase of this down the road, I don't care. Because for maybe 5-6 years, we're not paying his salary, and we get the best defenseman in hockey. Sure, I'll make that deal.
Here's the problem. Okay, so this is Montreal still gets his cap hit currently, and they still pay him. Mm-hmm. But let's say if Shea Weber were to retire when he's let's say, like you said, if he plays 6 more years and he plays till he's 37,
which to be honest, I think is being generous. I don't see him lasting 6 years.
Right. If he plays till he's 37, the 2022-23 season, Nashville will then get a salary cap penalty of $6.1 million, which is a lot of change, considering the salary cap this season is like $73 million.
Mm-hmm. 73. But I think all in all, I still make the deal. Yeah.
And if he lasts all the way until he's 40 and retires when he's 40 with 1 year left on the contract, Nashville will get a salary cap penalty of $24.57 million.
Holy cow! Wow.
Now,
12 million the year before that.
That is the dumbest deal I've ever heard.
What's funny about it is that, I don't know. It's everyone is stupid. Like the 3 parties involved are stupid. One, Philly was stupid for offering it in the first place because they'd be screwed if they actually ended up with them. 2, Nashville's stupid for seeing that dare and going, of course we'll match it, Comcast. And Montreal is stupid for trading away one of the best defensemen in the world for it. So nobody comes out of this looking good except PK Subban, who's been screwed over.
Here's my next question with Subban. How long is his current contract?
He's got 4 years left.
Oh, jeez, man. I'm sorry, but even cap hit or not, penalty or not, Nashville I think this got the sweeter end of this deal by a long shot.
Yeah, and the thing is, Montreal needed to trade him before July 1st because then he has PK's extension had a no trade clause attached to it, which went into effect on July 1st. So Montreal had a ticking time bomb, and of course Mark Bergevin, the GM, just lied and lied and lied and lied until it finally went through. Like, yeah, people are calling about PK, but we're not shopping him. We're not trying to trade him. Why would we trade PK Subban? That'd be a dumb thing to do. Oh, hey, we traded PK Subban. Didn't you say that was a dumb thing to do? No, it's fine. We got Shea Weber.
No, it is a dumb thing to do, but we did it anyway. That's what he should have said.
Right. And of course, this is the biggest problem holding the Montreal Canadiens back in the modern era, which is you just look at their GM situation. Again, this speaks to the generally xenophobic nature of Quebecois culture. If you can't have a competent GM, at least fall back and find a francophone.
Right, and the same thing with the coach, and that's why they're stuck with Michel Therrien, who should have been fired 2 years ago, but is terrible. And that's another reason why apparently PK and Michel Therrien didn't see eye to eye. Which, if I was between PK Subban and Michel Therrien, you get right. Michel Therrien.
That's the absolute crazy part about this. And it's like, of course, yeah, you choose PK Subban, but in the choice between the white francophone hard ass and the talented black guy who's having fun, of course the Montreal Canadiens chose the incompetent francophone, because that's what the Canadiens have done since the Molson, since not the Molson, they didn't sell it, but the Molson, so I'm sorry, I misspoke. But that's what they've been doing since the modern era, and that's why you see the massive downturn of the Montreal Canadiens, since the 70s. And it's not that French Canadians can't be talented GMs or coaches. There are plenty of talented French Canadian GMs and coaches out there, or people or French Canadians who have the potential to be talented GMs or coaches. But when the Montreal Canadiens doing what they've done, which is they limit their choices exclusively to French Canadians, and they insist that an incompetent francophone is better than a competent anglophone, then you get the mess that they're in.
Well, I was floored to see it. I can't believe it, and okay.
The fun part was that was just the third move in probably the craziest 30-minute span I've seen in terms of NHL personnel moves. Because I wake up and I'm just kind of tooling around, and I get a little notification on my phone that says the Edmonton Oilers have traded Taylor Hall to the New Jersey Devils.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah,
and it's like, whoa, that's the thing. That's why this is crazy, because these things get lost in the shuffle. Taylor Hall gets moved. It's like, whoa, Taylor Hall got moved for Adam Larson. And what else? No. They just traded Taylor Hall for Adam Larson. Oh, okay. So
which in terms of a one-on-one player trade is, I'd say, almost as bad as
pretty bad,
because it's pretty terrible.
Yes, the Oilers need some young defensemen to build around, but of the guys that have been there for this terrible streak, Taylor Hall is not the problem. He was the guy leading them in scoring. I think he's the third highest scoring left winger in the past 6 seasons that he's.
Maybe it's as simple as that, though. Because God knows they've got a multitude of wingers there, and they just picked the oldest one in the draft too. Yeah, so Taylor Hall's the oldest guy we've got. We'll move him instead of one of the. I don't know. God, it's Edmonton. Who the fuck knows what they're doing? Yeah,
he's not the. But anyway,
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins would have been the person I would have tried to move if I was looking to unload some excess offensive firepower.
Either him or Eberle, but and so they get traded. And Adam Larson's he's a fine defenseman, and I think it's a move that Edmonton needed to do. But you got to get more back for that. But according to the GM, that's what they need to sign, because not only were they getting rid of Taylor Hall because they have a logjam at left winger. Well, then they used all that money they gave up to Taylor Hall to sign Milan Lucic to a 6-year, $42 million deal. And I can't help but laugh at you, Edmonton. You're dumb.
Milan Lucic, best case scenario, you do somehow make the playoffs and he just nut shots everyone.
Yeah. So Taylor Hall, you're gonna have a fun time languishing in New Jersey. Hopefully this lights a fire under you or something. And then 10 minutes later, because once I saw that, I went to Twitter and I'm like, oh, is this a thing? I need to double check this. Sure enough, okay, it's a real thing. And then Bob McKenzie pops up. By the way, Steven Stamkos is re-signing in Tampa Bay. It's like, oh.
That didn't surprise me that much. Did it surprise you?
That surprised me considering that earlier in the day it was reported that Stamkos was meeting with Babcock, Shanahan, the mayor of Toronto, and the president of Canadian Tire.
Right. Well, because the rumor was that the Maple Leafs were going to sign him to a regular, relatively manageable deal, and then he'd get this additional sponsorship
Yeah,
deals.
Canadian Tire showing up. I mean, this is interesting.
So, but and the other thing was the weeks leading up to it, everybody had been clearing the decks for Stamkos. At the draft, the Red Wings traded away the now defunct contract of Pavel Datsyuk and his cap hit to the Coyotes for absolutely nothing, because the Coyotes, don't realize that we're trying to make things harder on the Detroit Red Wings to win, but let's give them some free cap space. Why not?
Well, the Coyotes just like to do that. Like, they got Chris Pronger.
The Coyotes going to have a hell of a team with Chris Pronger and Pavel Datsyuk. So.
I know, right?
So it just seemed like it was inevitable that he was going to go to at least go to free agency and see what was out there for him, what the contract offers were going to be. But he stayed in Tampa for 8 years, like $8.5 million.
And here's what pisses me off about that decision. Tampa made this offer to him, this exact offer to him back in January.
Mm-hmm.
Just if that's what you're going to take, then take it and stop wasting everyone's time.
Well, the interesting thing that I read about it too is that money, that deal in Tampa, the $8.5 a year, because of the way taxes work out, for him to make the same amount of money playing for Tampa Bay as he would for Toronto would have had to sign him to a $12.4 million contract.
Right,
just
taxes. No state income taxes in Florida. That's going to make a big difference, and I'm sure the tax rate in Ontario and Canada overall is a lot higher than it is here.
Except the Leafs have the space and the cash to actually sign that deal.
Yeah,
right. I think that the one thing I saw was with the signing bonus in particular that he would have gotten, the tax rate, because he's a Canadian citizen playing in the States, his signing bonus would get taxed 15% playing in Florida. That same signing bonus would get taxed 39% in Toronto.
Well, I mean, could it be simply a matter of I want to stay with the team that's most competitive? I mean, maybe I'm being really naive, but I mean, maybe it was as simple as that. But I'm with Mike. If he was going to take that deal, the same one they offered him in January, take it in January. Why drag everybody through this?
Well, because, and him doing that, it kind of screwed up the plans that teams like Toronto and Buffalo and Detroit.
Well, but that's the thing, though. You see this happen in sports, in all sports, really. A big name pops up and everybody starts clearing the decks. I don't think that's ever really the smartest move.
No, because only one team's going to get him.
There's a whole...
Everybody else is going to get screwed.
And there's a whole rant I could go on about this, but I'm just going to say it's fucking frustrating and disappointing to see yet another homegrown Canadian talent not want to play for what is essentially his hometown team.
He didn't even have the fucking decency to at least come back to Buffalo, right?
No. I mean, it's frustrating. It's disappointing to see, and fuck you, Steven Stamkos. I hope you never win a Stanley Cup with Tampa. I will be there. I will be there every time you play the Leafs, and I will boo you relentlessly.
Well, hey, there you go. All right.
And then about 10 minutes after that Steven Stamkos news, then all these things like Weber for Subban. It's like, okay, yeah, good joke, everybody. It's crazy times in the NHL. That's not happening.
When I saw the Subban for Weber deal, I was like, that can't be straight up. It just can't be. Right?
Are you talking about Sonic Weber or Shea Weber?
I mean, I don't know. I was floored. But yeah, it just you know what though? It's funny. I have both those guys on my fantasy team, so I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. No, it may end up working out for you. Like, I think Shea Weber will be good for Montreal for a year, two. He actually may even work better for what they want to do. But, PK Subban's gonna have the time of his life in Nashville. You think there's a city that wants to embrace a fun, young, exciting player? Would be Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, not to mention, let's look at another part of it too. You've got a young black hockey player coming into a market that has a large African American population. This doesn't hurt the team overall either. No, I'm not saying that the black folks are going to come out in droves to watch the guy, but it adds an extra level of appeal to the Predators that they didn't have before this. Maybe not to this level, I should say. But PK Subban, and I think this speaks to just, how the guy's got a great attitude who, he just wants to have fun where he is. He said that he thinks that the Nashville Predators are going to be the Golden State Warriors of the NHL. They certainly seem to have the defensive core to back that up, but I'm not sure you want to compare your new team to the team that choked away a 3-1 lead in their league finals and blew what could have been the greatest season of all time.
Kevin Durant is going to be a Golden State Warrior because he doesn't like doing things the hard way anymore, I guess.
Well, I will say this. I think he's entitled to play wherever he wants, and that's great and all, but ask LeBron James. LeBron James which title. I guarantee you right now, and look, this may sound totally homerific. I don't care. Ask LeBron of his 3 rings, which one means the most. I guarantee you it's the one he won this year. Because it was the hardest. It was the one he earned. I'm not saying he didn't earn the other 2 in Miami, but when you walk into a situation that's ready-made for a championship, I just don't know that it's got the same feel to it as going out there and going, okay, we've built up from this to where we are now and all that. I don't think it has the same thing.
And what floors me, it's not like Oklahoma City is in a position where, they're not in a position to win. This is a team that took Golden State Warriors to 7 games in Western Conference Finals, and they choked away what should have been a win for them. But this team proved.
That's what makes it worse. It's not like LeBron leaving and going to Miami is one thing, but like if let's see, if he had left and went to the Celtics, right, because they beat the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Final, then we'd be like, oh man, that's lame. Like really just kind of a lame thing. You're leaving, and I think it's different for Kevin Durant because he was there when that team moved from Seattle. Yep. Mm-hmm. He is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
That's it.
He's the founding superstar of that franchise.
Yep.
And now he's leaving to the team that beat you so he can finally go win his title.
That's the thing. See, but that's the thing. I don't know necessarily that this is going to be the cakewalk to a championship that people think it's going to be.
Oh, I don't think so either. Because you've got
4 guys now, and if there's ever a case if there's not enough basketballs, this just might be it.
Yeah, because it's not like they're all going to be shooting threes the entire time.
Yeah,
somebody's going to have to be in the middle. And from personal experience as a Laker fan, I remember the 4-man super team that we tried. Arguably a little different when you had Karl Malone and Gary Payton at the end of their careers with Shaq and Kobe. But at a certain point, it fell apart because you played a team that was just a better basketball team.
And again, it's not like he's leaving. It's not like the Thunder are in a situation where they're not contenders. The Oklahoma City Thunder are in position to contend for the Western Conference Championship. I mean, they're not this basement dwelling franchise that he needs to get out from under. He's in a good situation to succeed in Oklahoma City.
And didn't they make a deal that actually would have made them even tougher had he stayed? Who did they trade? Was it Ibaka? Serge Ibaka they traded for?
They traded Ibaka for Victor Oladipo.
Which a lot of people thought was a good move. So I don't know. It's easy. I don't want to sound like, the get off my lawn guy because I think somebody brought this up on the thread too, that if players were able to do this back in the old days, we can't say for sure they wouldn't have done it. Like if Michael Jordan had gotten tired of not having a supporting cast, he would have said, okay, after my first Bulls contract, I'm going somewhere else. But it just seems to me that this one, LeBron's was bad enough, and he handled it poorly, and it was obvious what he was doing. But this is just like, wow, dude.
Well, and I think the difference too is when LeBron went to Miami, it wasn't like Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade were already there, and they had this. Yeah. And it's not like they didn't have another guy there already. When LeBron came, they all came together at the same time to create this team. Whereas this is the Golden State Warriors as they were a month ago, 3 weeks ago, the same team that just lost the NBA title plus Kevin Durant.
Yeah, and a team that
they're not making any major changes outside of that.
Like somebody brought up, they were, this team was a 4.5-minute cold streak away from repeating as NBA champions. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's like he might get his ring. And good for him if he does, but wow, it just seems to me like you're just really taking the cheap, easy way out.
Right, and even when LeBron went to the super team in Miami, it was kind of an argument of whose team it was. But eventually, when they ended up winning, it was LeBron's team that was winning because LeBron ended up being the alpha male. In this situation, Kevin Durant is the third guy.
You can argue fourth guy, really. I mean, as far as hierarchy on the team goes, maybe not talent-wise, but team hierarchy. I'm talking about
like an alpha male standpoint, though. I would put Steph and Draymond ahead of Durant from an alpha male type standpoint.
Exactly.
Klay Thompson is good, but I don't think he's the guy that I need the basketball. I'm going to do this for our team. He's a guy that just does his job extremely well.
Well, that's the thing that you got to hope because of the big three that they have now, that they had before this, somebody's got to give up some of their production to accommodate this guy. And I said this in the thread too. I don't think after they lost Game 7 that Sunday night they were sitting there and going, you know what we need? We need Kevin Durant. I don't think that's what was on in their minds. Maybe it was. I don't know. But to me, if it was on their minds, to me it's like they are taking the cheap way out too. Like if we can just add this one more superstar. Well, then look at us. We'll win everything. Oh, okay, that's great. But I'm of two minds on it. I mean, whatever. It's the way it works, and this is the way that the NBA is set up. And no one broke any rules or did anything like that. It's all perfectly legit, perfectly legal. But it still feels a little, I don't know. Hollow, yeah. It just doesn't ring right, yeah.
Because when what we want from our professional sports is the utmost level of competition and, hard work and, guys fighting. Excuse me. Ugh, that felt weird. Fighting against each other to win the ultimate title. And when it's like, no, we're just going to play together and just, dominate. You don't want to see that.
It was like with Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons of the late 80s. The Celtics were the team. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure his contract came up at some point. And believe me, you put Isaiah Thomas on the Celtics team, they probably win every title in the 80s.
Sure.
But he said, no, I want to do this with our guys, and we will keep doing what we have to do. And our goal is to get past them and win a title. And they did it. And it was, I'm sure,
it meant
a
something.
lot. Yeah. And then they did it again. I don't know. I'm not going to knock the guy. But
imagine if John Stockton or Karl Malone left the Jazz to go play with the Bulls.
Yeah.
At least at the beginning. I mean, Karl Malone eventually did that, but past the time that he was.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he didn't do it at the prime of his career, and he was just like, because that's another thing too, though. The sports culture, even back then when Malone did that, was such that if you don't win a championship, no matter how good you are, your legacy is meaningless. And I think that maybe got into his head, and he thought, I've got to do this. I don't think anybody thinks any less of Karl Malone because he didn't win that ring with the Lakers that year. I don't think anybody thinks Charles Barkley's a bad player because he didn't win. I just think that that's a big part of it. And I'll tell you this, if in 5 years from now we're sitting around talking about Kevin Durant's legacy, if he wins a title next year, it's not going to do anything to add to his legacy in my mind.
Because I'll remember that he was the guy that left the team that that he was with that lost and joined the team that beat him.
Yeah.
Because, if you can't beat him, join him. And it's that's an old adage that's always thrown around, but nobody actually wants to see that.
No. Especially again, I'm going to say it again, when the team he was on, the team that, he was the star of, they're still in a position to succeed. Yeah. So I don't get it.
And I think, too, had the Thunder won that series against the Warriors, I think they're world champions today. Because I think the Cavs did not match up nearly as well against the Thunder as they did against Golden State. So, I don't know. It's interesting. A lot of people – I didn't think that him moving on would get quite this level of attention, but I guess so. So, okay. But then again, I think if he goes to any other team but Golden State, maybe it's not as big a deal. I don't know.
Yeah, if he had gone to what were the teams that were looking to get him? If he had gone to –
Miami was in the mix, I think.
Miami.
Clippers. Washington, believe it or not.
Yeah, Washington was. If he had gone to any of those, it would have been, okay, that's an interesting move. Let's see how it plays out. Now it's like, really, dude? Really? Yeah, okay. I'm going to join the team that just set the best regular season record of all time. Okay.
Everybody, no one's going to like this team or be that impressed by it, I think.
No, if anything, people are going to be, people started to turn on the Warriors pretty quick last season. If anything, this just cements that.
Yeah.
No one's going to root for the Warriors unless you're, in
nobody. Look, nobody likes the New York Yankees.
No, except Yankee fans. Yeah.
Well, and it's not even just because the Yankees are winners; it's that they're winners and they're assholes, and they sign everyone. That's
Exactly.
every player.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nobody likes the New York Yankees. Don't be that guy, Kevin. Don't be
And
that
honestly, this is going to be still hard for them because now they're going to have to put in Kevin Durant and get all that chemistry. But, if this report is true, too, that the Spurs are going to sign Pau Gasol, and Tim Duncan is probably going to retire, that's Pau Gasol to the Spurs with LaMarcus Aldridge and Kawhi Leonard and still Tony Parker and them. That's still a damn good team too that can knock off the Warriors.
I was gonna say that, Zach. You mentioned the Lakers' attempt at a super team falling apart. Who beat them? The Pistons, who were just a better team.
Yeah.
Well, you're the Golden State Warriors. You share a conference with the San Antonio Spurs, who are the quintessential fundamental basketball team of the NBA. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens when, this stacked Golden State Warrior team plays that San Antonio Spurs team. It'll be interesting to see.
I just don't think
they're gonna have the Spurs, the Clippers, when healthy.
Yeah,
they're not. They're championship worthy, but they're a really good team that can knock you off. And don't you even think for a second that if we get a Warriors Thunder playoff series next year, that Russell Westbrook would do everything humanly possible to slit KD's neck.
Yeah,
he might actually murder him on the court.
But that's the thing too. I mean, the Thunder. Yeah, this is a big hit for them. But if they get a couple, I don't know what's out there, what's available, or if they get a couple of guys that are obviously not going to get a Kevin Durant level player, but they've still got some talent on that team. They get a good enough, I don't know, was a good example, like a Tristan Thompson type player, and slam him into that lineup. They're not going to be pushovers by any definition, not this year at least. I'm really going to be curious to see how this works out because that's a whole lot of talent on one basketball team, and the NBA is not exactly known for – they're not Ontario hockey players. They're not like, oh, it's all team and this and that. That's not the way it works in the NBA.
No.
I don't see Steph Curry stepping aside and going, okay, KD. I don't see Draymond Green doing it. I think Zach's right. I think see Klay Thompson taking a lesser role, but the other two aren't going to.
I mean, to be, if you'll allow me to be a bit bitter here, we know NBA players aren't like hockey players because in the NBA, players are excited to go to their hometown team and win championships. So,
Well, look at it like this, Mike. Stamkos is going to win a couple rings with Tampa Bay. Then he'll come back to Toronto with a nice Sports Illustrated article, and then you'll get one, and that'll be the one that means the most to him, I suppose. I will say this. I'm glad the Cavs got it out of the way this year because I don't know that next year it's going to be quite as – well, not this year was easy. But if this team does gel, if Golden State does gel and it works, I don't know who could beat them, really. It's just if it works. And it's a very risky – it's a very volatile mixture they've got going here. But if it works, they're going to be a sight to see. And, they might take another run at 70 wins again next year. I don't know. It'd be very interesting. But still, I don't know. I said I don't want to be the get off my lawn guy. It was better in the old days guy, but I don't like to see this. I don't mind him leaving.
Nobody does. Nobody does.
I would still rather watch Steph Curry versus Kevin Durant than Steph Curry and Kevin Durant versus whoever.
I mean, imagine if like Magic and Larry Bird had teamed up in the 80s. That would have been ridiculous.
Which again, they didn't do that because they wanted to beat each other, not play with each other.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of or if Jordan and that's the thing. Those Bulls were so good. If Jordan and Barkley, yeah,
right. Well, Charles Barkley would never join one of those teams just to win. He wanted to beat the hell out of Michael Jordan. He didn't want to play with Michael Jordan,
right?
Just to get that ring.
It's a cheap, hollow victory. Good for you if you get it, but no one's going to look at your ring next to, LeBron's from this year and go, yeah, that's the same thing. They're not. It's a Yankees championship. It's like, okay, good for you. You bought your way to a title. Nice job. Ladies and gentlemen, Zach's Tabs.
Zach's Tabs!
All right.
So... Sorry, I'm trying to stall.
Can I throw this one in really quick while we're waiting?
Greg's Tab!
Tim Tebow brought someone back to life on an airplane. It's true,
Jesus
folks. According to the story I read, he was on an airplane a guy who had a heart attack and was basically unconscious, maybe dead, we don't know. Tebow prayed over him, and he woke back up. So you can take that for whatever you will, but...
Is Tim Tebow literally Jesus? Is he literally football Jesus now?
Well, he was for 10 minutes or so there. So there you go. Tim Tebow bringing people back to life. In case you thought we'd forgotten about Tim Tebow, nope. He's still out there, and we're still following him, and that might be his greatest comeback yet. All right, are you ready, Zach?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Get us out of this mess. Okay.
Today's July 5th. Yesterday was the 4th of July. Our
Happy Independence Day, my American colleagues.
And Happy Canada Day, which was just a few days prior, right?
Yes, thank you.
So, of course, we had the traditional hot dog eating contest out there on Coney Island. Joey Chestnut avenged his loss from last year, eating a record 70 hot dogs in 10 minutes time.
So he redeemed America.
Yes.
Yeah, thank God for that, right?
He redeemed America. 70 hot dogs, buns included, of course, in 10 minutes time.
Do they get to drink water or anything with that while they're doing that? Or is
Well,
it just...
they dunk the hot dog buns in water so they compress.
God!
They go down their throat.
That's disgusting.
But yeah, they all have like a drink of their choice. Some of them have like a Gatorade up there, or most of them will choose water just because.
Do they go and puke after this is over? I have to think they would, right?
I have to assume so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't think you could digest 70 hot dogs properly, or at least comfortably.
No, you're not. The human body is not meant to consume that much food at once.
70 hot dogs in how long?
10 minutes. And the worst part was he won by 16. So it's not. He could have just stopped. But it's one of those things where they're always out trying to outdo themselves. And...
Right. It's the exact opposite of Kevin Durant. Joey Chestnut wasn't going to take the easy way out. He could have just settled for the win, but no. He wanted to make history, leave a legacy, as it were.
I always wonder, if you are somebody that does one of these things, can you just eat a hot dog recreationally and enjoy it? Or are you just like always haunted by the fact that you're going to have to eat 100 of these things?
I got to think it would be impossible to just enjoy it.
Yeah, right?
I mean, it's kind of like you're taking your work home with you. Like, how is that possible?
Exactly. These are just basically a hot dog and a bun, right? There's no ketchup, no condiments, or anything like that. Maybe if it was a more elaborate hot dog, you might be able to eat it. But I'm with Mike. I think it's like taking your work home with you. I can't imagine that you would want to eat hot dogs ever again.
If I ate 70 hot dogs in 10 minutes, I do not want to see another hot dog for a year.
I don't know that I've eaten 70 hot dogs in the last 10 years, let alone.
Right.
They're good every once in a great while, maybe at the ballpark or something.
I actually don't eat hot dogs unless I go into Toronto. The street vendors in Toronto sell fantastic hot dogs.
Oh,
That's the only time I eat them.
That must be a universal thing because every street vendor hot dog I've ever had anywhere is always delicious. And you would think that you're just begging for salmonella and food poisoning and everything else you eat from one of those things. But, man, they're good and never a problem.
I never make hot dogs at home. I never order hot dogs if I'm at a place that serves them.
Me either.
Only I'll eat hot dogs is if I'm passing a cart that some Polish man has on the side of a road. Then I'll buy a hot dog.
As a starving college student, I eat plenty of hot dogs at home. I'll have a no. But most of the time,
in college, because they're cheap and they're filling and you get your money's worth, absolutely. And if you really want to go crazy and really have yourself quite the nice meal some night, take macaroni and cheese, slice up a hot dog, and throw it in there. Pretty good stuff.
Trust me, I have those little Easy Mac bowls.
There you go.
One of those and 2 hot dogs, and that's a gourmet meal, folks.
Those were the days.
Yeah. But speaking of having dogs at the ballpark, controversy over the weekend. Greg, have you heard of Zach Campbell?
I have. And I want to say that I think he's the biggest douchebag in all of sports.
This is the guy that is a professional foul ball catcher.
Oh, we talked about this guy before. Fuck him.
We talked about this asshole before. He has like over 3,000 baseballs that he's caught.
I think it's gone 10,000 actually.
I think it is 10.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
It's absurd, whatever it is.
And he always goes to the outfield for batting practice and just sprints back and forth catching home run balls in batting practice like an idiot, knocking over kids and fighting for every baseball he can because he likes the attention. I don't know. But, he always bragged about being able to go to places all over the world. He went to those games in Australia. He went to the games in Japan. He's been to every major league ballpark and a lot of minor league ballparks. But there was a specific experience that was going to happen over the weekend where, for the first time, Major League Baseball played a regular season game on a military base, Fort Bragg. They were going to have the Marlins and Braves playing there. The tickets were only available to those with a Department of Defense ID, and it was a lottery system. So it was going to be just military personnel and their families or guests that were allowed to go to the game. It was going to be a special experience for that. Well, somehow this retard extraordinaire got his way into the game. And how? 11 baseballs.
Did someone shoot him? He's on a military. Did someone shoot him?
You want to talk about a place with plenty of assault rifles? I got to think they've got plenty there. Put one to good use. Just this one time.
So, people got all over him on Twitter, of course, once they saw it. The 82nd Airborne Division, which is based out of Fort Bragg, retweeted his picture and said, delete your account. Which, we're no longer allowed to use that anymore. Just so people know that's not a thing we can say anymore.
We can't?
No. After Hillary Clinton used it, that meant all the coolness factor was taken out of the frame.
Oh.
That's like when your mom shows up on Facebook. You just can't do it anymore.
So what are we going with now? So what do we got to come up with a term because we
leave this planet. How about that?
I think Cujo came up with a good one. He said deactivate, which I kind of liked.
I will say though that on Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, I hope this entire presidential campaign is debated via Twitter.
Oh, that would be
that's it.
Huh?
No actual, no televised debates. No, not even any campaign commercials.
Must be 140 characters or less. Go.
Not even
foreign policy in 140 characters.
Not even actual campaign commercials. Just everything over Twitter, and then it ends the day before an election when Trump tweets a dick pic.
Anyway, so this guy was doing everything he could to get into this game because once someone told him, yeah, you shouldn't go to this game, he decided, well, it's something I need to do because I need baseballs that say Fort Bragg on them. Wow. But how he got in there, he was using Tinder. His bio on his Tinder little page was, this is totally random nerdy, but I'm looking for someone with an extra ticket to the MLB game at Fort Bragg on July 3rd who has an active DOD ID. It can bring me as a guest. I will pay you $1,000.
Where's he get all this money?
I don't know.
Okay.
He's made some money off of being a professional ball catcher.
Ball hawker is what they're calling it, I believe, is what I saw in Deadson, a ball hawk.
And then the last thing, for the 4th of July celebrations at the game at Dodger Stadium, they were going to have a bald eagle trained from the Los Angeles Zoo that was going to fly around.
Oh, no.
It came out of the box, ignored its trainer, did not go to the field, and just left. Said, oh, yeah, baseball. Sounds fun. I'm going to leave. Even our American bird, the national bird, can't stand to sit around a baseball game anymore. What is this country coming to?
It's like, fuck this, I'm gone, man. I heard there's a guy playing basketball on a playground in a Jordan uniform. I'm going to go watch that instead.
Is that Michael Jordan?
Oh, here we go. I got to watch the video.
I guess he just went out to the parking lot.
Okay, there he goes. He's by second base and going towards the trainer. You know what? Nah, see you later. I'm gone.
God.
He flew right up the exit in center field. That's hysterical.
See ya. Bye.
Oh, he's okay.
Yeah, he's just like, goodbye.
Later, I'm gone. Okay, is that it?
Be free. Be free. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. The website is basicallyasportshow.com. You can listen to every single episode of the show there. Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. And you can find us on Facebook. And with that, we are done for this week. We'll see you next time.
Later.
Bye.